The awful music loops and begins again. We appreciate your patience. Historians will say we waited too much. I could pry the world open like a can of tuna. Landmark. It is only here, when we stop to rest, that we begin to understand the myth of movement as progress. We scratch the itch, rub sore spots, make plans. Tomorrow or next week, another place, a more comfortable sleep. There is no easy way across this distance. So many paths lead to bones. What were once maps have given us all the light they can. Become ashes in cook fires, winding behind on shifting terrain, as again the moon like a bored lover rolls slowly over and away. Hindsight will never reveal the miles crossed and recrossed within us. Days of dust and endless wind shouting doubt in our ears. Still blind to the change that happens wherever people pause, historians will say we waited too much, perhaps accuse us of wasting time and the little life we have. They will speculate about our intentions and our sanity, and even we will wonder how we could laugh with mouths so dry. We have been given another day, and we are breathless, eyes rarefied as the air. Another sun cooks slowly on a blue and shuddering line of pine, the excess of its bed lining our dreams, an altitude of sighs, you and I, hesitant. You and I testing footholds, stream seekers using yesterday for firewood. You and I, sparks rising to dance for a moment in the stars' glass light, in the mystery of what led us here. You and I, taking Tiger Mountain, throwing the great heights down behind us. Thank you, and thank you for being here, and I appreciate Jeff giving us an opportunity to read. My background's journalism, and I for many years have been aware of how when people talk about photographs, they often forget that photographs are an instant in time. And so you can make people look much better or much worse than the photograph might indicate. And it also doesn't always tell the entire story. This is called snapshot. I gaze into the indistinct distance, wondering how so much can be gone when these recollections remain shiny and beckoning as if artifacts are what anchor me to earth or make me able to fly. Beyond the window, a leafing locust tree reveals a remnant of wind against that building's brick. But wall and branch are blurred backdrop to something unseen, a throbbing space my disbelief creates, a portal to memory and loss. I insist something's incomplete, a documentary's single frame out of context, a fragment fallen on the cutting room floor. This moment focused so sharply, I'm framed in the worst light. It remains, insistent in its claim. It tells the way things were. I'm older than everybody in this room, and I'll just tell you that we're living in the worst times I've ever lived through in my life. This is called Options for the Weary and Uncertain. I could pile sealed boxes of books higher in the attic with winter quilts and a dresser full of rock and roll t-shirts I'm confident will be very old someday. I could plant onions and tomatoes in square-foot plots, string a web of for peas to climb, a silver ladder to the sun. A painted bicycle wheel could become lawn sculpture. Or with a few clicks, I could pry the world open like a can of tuna, inhale its brine and stories of shipwrecked refugees and recurring nights peppered by gas spewed from a wall of RoboCops. I might flee into the safety offered by photos of other times and the innocence of their smiles, or mumble a mush of useless curses. I could slowly sink into novels or hum an avalanche of blues songs, run till I drop, turn the volume up to 11. If I'm willing to shatter myself and do without, I could sidestep the market's leg-hold trap. I could stay here, frozen and trembling in this rabbit skin I've embraced as my coat. Or I could stir my appetite, serve myself a ladle of spine, its gristle and fibrous strands enough to help me stand and shove my body into the weeping sea of the streets. I could leave this damp hole, breathe in and let go, become another droplet in a wave about to break. Thank you. And this is a different version of the same kind of thing. This is one of those poems that's sat around for years after it got started and finally found its way out in the past few months. Refuge. As clouds thicken, the dark paint of a maple's shadow fades in heat that turns our strength to wax. We droop like tired perennials, slip slices of lemon into water glasses. Tunes of solace and resolve ping in our ribs, tin music in a cave. Each day crushes us with awareness of too much, the distance between us leveling the lives we've built and leaving us stateless. Our only refuge is this circle. Even in this shade, knowing what we know, we can offer no promise of relief, only the curve of our gathering, how its indistinct arc breathes and takes us in. All of you and I have been asked endlessly, are you happy? And, it's kind of like saying, who's your favorite poet? Because I always respond, what day of the week is it? But I weary of people talking about that because I don't believe that happiness is a sustained state. So this is called happiness. The studio audience whooped and clapped as the talk show host coaxed rapture from the actor when asked if she was happy. Another baby, a movie in development, all this a month before the plunge to tabloid headlines. Some think happiness an altitude where we level off at breathless velocity, Earth and its contradictions a place we'll transcend, self-actualized in a mist of essential oils. A place TV spots have taught us to believe we're entitled to, a birthright free of woe. You deserve it, voices croon. You can exist eternally upbeat, like local newscasters pivoting seamlessly from massacre to meditation. More likely it's a place we pass through, something fleeting, orgasmic in its spike of pleasure that ebbs to afterglow. To drop from its height is to plunge again into dark and light. This world of shadows, impermanence, the fabric of our imperfect skin. Winston Churchill, as any of you who've seen documentaries or movies about him, was not a particularly cheerful fellow. And he suffered from melancholy. But a lot of people, I think, confuse melancholy with depression. And they're different things. So this is called melancholy. I walk with what Churchill called his old black dog. Mine a different breed, but from the same kennel. Even on balmy days, I follow an erratic course. Its eager sniffing takes me past what is ruined or ignored. Shattered tree rotting to mulch, a mourning dove flattened at curbside. Rusting factory, brick walk nearly erased by weeds on the approach to a house with shutters broken, windows replaced by plywood gray with memories. This is no celebration of loss, no dark meditation on ugliness or doom, only a stroll I accept as my own. The dog leads me to a larger place where everything goes, each a part of a complex beauty alive in the endless decay any future requires. I wanted to bring this poem out of mothballs, and I've got one more after this. Way back, and this would be back in the early 80s. I lived in the North Campus area, and I remember a news story about someone in the neighborhood, and he's named in here, who had been arrested as the suspect in the abduction and murder of a child. So it's called News Story, The Suspect's Wife. Walter Mitchell's wife has no name in the newspaper where it says she let police search the house without incident in the breathless neighborhood windswept with rumor. Tongues tumble, loose paper down the street without clues, leaving only the indelible grief of the sad mother's eyes, framed in a photo, next to the story of the little girl who's disappeared on the way home from school, and the name in the second paragraph of the monster and prime suspect, whose wife has no name and no one to cry with. And this one's brand new, but it's been coming for a long time, simply because it's something all of you have experienced, I can say without fear of contradiction. It's called, and it's a pantoum, which suits itself to what we've all gone through at one time or another. It's called limbo. This is what's called customer service. I've been sitting here at least an hour with some awful music tattooing my ears. Your call is very important to us. I've been sitting here at least an hour scrolling and following links on TikTok. Your call is very important to us. Thank you for continuing to hold. Scrolling and following links on TikTok, I mutter vile but clever curses as, thank you for continuing to hold, the awful music loops and begins again. I mutter vile but clever curses as the tune drills its earworm into my skull. The awful music loops and begins again. We appreciate your patience. All of the tune drills its earworm into my skull. This will repeat until I want to scream. We appreciate your patience. All of our associates are helping other customers. This will repeat until I want to scream. Yet another 10 minutes and I'm reminded our associates are helping other customers. You may want to hang up and call back later. Yet another 10 minutes and I'm reminded your call is very important to us. You may want to hang up and try again later. I'm short of breath and my stomach hurts. Your call is very important to us. I'm about ready to slit my wrists. I'm short of breath and my stomach hurts. My brain is a volcano ready to erupt. I'm about ready to slit my wrists while some awful music tattoos my ears. My brain is a volcano ready to erupt. This is what's called customer service.